Yes, so let me share my screen. All right, so first thing first, whatever we are going to discuss today, and that's the continuation of the video series which you can already subscribe to in this channel, which is DevAavengers. And the first episode included the basic setup of what we are going to expand today with page object model. So in this session, we will discuss about how to set up a page object model in a Selenium driven Maven, BDD, Cucumber framework. So do subscribe to this channel for more updates, and if you want to watch this same course later. And also whatever we are discussing today is already available on this GitHub repository. So all the code, whichever we will implement, is already there, and you can try it out after the session and also provide your feedbacks. So let's jump right away into the code. There are no slides in this session. We will only talk about the code because we are now getting serious. So let's look at the setup, what we developed in our first session, and how it looked like. Just a quick glimpse again. So in the first setup, if you remember, that what we did is we created a project where we set up a Maven project. In this, we defined our dependencies. So the dependencies are something which are required for our project or our code to run on this machine. So those dependencies include the source code, which helps us to automate stuff. So the first one is the WebDriver manager. As you can see, so I explained a bit about what is a WebDriver, and this WebDriver manager take care of initialization setup for our drivers. So to connect to the Chrome browser, to connect to Firefox, it is very easy way to connect, and you don't have to worry about lot of environment setup and anything. You just add this dependency and write one single line, and you are good to go with whichever browser you want to automate. Then we talked about the Selenium dependencies, how to add them. So these two dependencies are targeted to that. One is Selenium Java, one is Selenium Server. Both of these are required to run your Selenium tests. Then the dependencies we added are the Cucumber dependency, which allows you to write step definition files, and also to link the glue code. So how Cucumber works, you define some feature files, as you can see over here. So this is a sample feature file which we developed last time, and this dependency which we added here, it allows you to write the backend code in Java. So you see here, this is a business scenario, and behind that scenario, you can go to the glue code. You call the step definitions file as glue, which stick to these steps, and you can automate those steps in Java using this dependency. So the next dependency is JUnit, which is our test dependency that allows you to assert on some things. And I explained already what is assertion and how it works. The next dependency is to connect these two, so the Cucumber and JUnit. So Cucumber can also you can send some commands to the and also it provides you of its runner, so which is this class you can write. As you can see here, there is a run with command which tells that this is a Cucumber feature you have to look into, and at what path, which is the features folder path, that is exactly the path from this directory. So source, test, resources, and inside resources, I'm telling this runner that you will find all the feature files which you have to run. Then the second part is the glue code, that is the step definition code which is present in the step definitions package, and that is in your class path. So do note that you need to provide the exact path starting from Java folder in this Maven Java project. So the step definitions are present in this. If you add one more package, just add it next to this, and it will find your glue code. The next setting is monochrome true, which allows to display this output in the terminal in your machine, and I can safely remove it to also display it in a color manner, because I have a terminal setup and it automatically picks up my terminal settings, and so you will get some colors here. So it's okay, you can keep it here on your CI server where you do not have colors, and when you run this code on a Jenkins or on Travis or on any CI server, there you may need to set that to true, but for now we don't need it. I'll remove it. And the next is the plugin, and this allows you to generate the test reports, which you can find after the execution in Target, Cucumber HTML, and if you open it, it will show you a basic test report. So what we are going to do today, we are going to deviate from this feature, which was just only opening a Facebook website. If you remember, let's run it. Let's run this today to quickly check what it was doing. So I'm going to right click on test runner and just hitting the run test runner button. So what it's doing, it's just opening the Facebook website and just checking if the button is there. That's it. And as you can see, it passed. And what we're going to do today is, before that, as you can see, now you see the color. So that's the magic behind the monochrome true and false. So yes, what we are going to do today is automating a scenario, a business scenario on this website. It's a test website, you can say, and I found it while discovering a sample website which you can easily automate and understand. So what this website does, it allows you to filter some computer names, and also it allows you to add a computer. You can fill this form, and it will add it in this list. So we will just automate this scenario today with the PageObjectModel of adding a computer. So let's go back and let's comment this out for now, and let's add our own scenario. So our scenario is going to, so my feature is, as a user, right? As a user, I want to add a computer in computer database website. So this is a computer database website. You can add your models, and you can give it a computer name, and when it was introduced and by which company, and you can add it here, and it's just a simple test website. So you can define your computer names like that. So that's what this feature is about, that I should be able to add a computer in this computer database. So the scenario is when user enters the valid name of that computer and valid details. The validation is on this website, so we are not going into the validation, but just regarding the scenario, I'm going to put it like that. So as scenario is, I should be able to add a computer with valid details, and there is some given condition, like I have opened the browser, right? And this time I'm going to pass some parameters. Let's stick to a Chrome browser, let's say, and later we were going to pass it as a parameter, so that you can say, okay, on Chrome I want to test this, or on Firefox, like that. Then given I have opened the Chrome browser, and when I open computer database website, and when I click add computer button, and I fill valid computer details, and sorry, this should be when, it's more sensible, and I click add computer button, then computer should get added in the database. So as you can see, I have written my steps, but these are highlighted. That means it says that these are still undefined. So we have to write a glue code for these steps. So let's write glue code. For that, you can just click Option button if you are on Mac, or Alt button and click right, and just do a click. Option and enter, or alt and enter, and then it asks you to create a step definition for the step which I choose. So let's go with the first one. I will create a new file, and this time I want to put it in this folder. So I chose the folder first where I want to put this definition, and I'm gonna say definition file, and it's defining add computer, or sorry, add computer, like that, and the Java 8, and that's it. There was a pop-up asking me whether I want to add this to Git. For now, I don't. So, oh, sorry, I chose the wrong one. That should not be Java 8. Please make sure not use Java 8 because it has its own syntax and I don't want to go there. So I'm gonna do this again. So go back, option enter, create step definition, create new file, choose the folder, and then give this a name, def add computer, and sorry, you should select Java. So the Java provides you the basic Java functional syntaxes. You don't have to care about Lambda functions and all. And enter, and that there you go. We see normal string operators and also normal method syntaxes. Previously there were arrow functions, and that will be confusing for most of us. So I'm going to stick with basic Java. And here, as you can see, the Cucumber automatically added some dependencies from the packages which are added in the POM XML. So it knows that this is a glue code for that particular step. So if I go back again, you see this highlight is gone. So now Cucumber is able to detect that glue code. And that's the magic of this. There is a plugin for this IntelliJ which does that. So the next step is we are doing the same for rest of the step. So this time I'm just selecting the file where I want my steps to be populated, and there you go. So all steps, this is Cucumber automatically generated in this step definition file. Going back, and it will now remove the highlight. So if I click command or control and click on this step, it will take me to the particular step. So do validate that all of your steps, you can do this and you can go to them from this view, from this feature file. So once this is done, this is just a Cucumber. There is no page object I have yet described or did anything regarding page object. We are going to do that now. So let's go to the first step and quickly define the basic setup. So we already discussed it for the previous scenario, the Facebook one. We will do it again. I'll do this time a bit faster. If you are something unclear, you can just check the video so that we meet our time. So yeah, let's go ahead and start with first we need a WebDriver, right, to connect, and I'm gonna initialize it with null, and then I need something as before that I need to set up some environment properties, as I said so before. So that is my public static void. So this is a normal Java syntaxes. Go to the Java to understand it, what it is doing, and set up drivers, right? And in this method, I'm going to set up the from the WebDriver manager, the first dependency from the pom.xml that allows you to easily set up everything without any hassle. So I go back, WebDriver manager dot. Now I go to the Firefox driver, and then I click setup. So I'm just setting up all the drivers which I want, and this is like that, and that's it. So once this is done, now you can use the driver easily and open the browser. So as you can see, my first step is talking about some particular browser, right? This is sending an argument. This time it created an argument here. So what is argument? You can rename it to a more sensible name. So what is this doing here? We are just opening the drivers, right? So let's just initialize my Chrome drive, my driver, so that it will just open a browser window. But here I also want to navigate, open a different browsers, right? So let's say if my browser name equals Chrome. Then I want to open Chrome driver, else if, yes, you guessed it right. If so I just copy it here and say Firefox. All right, so I want to open Firefox. So and then the next, this will just open the browser window for us. Then here in this step we will open the website. So here I will say driver.navigate.to, right? That's just the commands. And here I will pass the URL for my website, and that's it. The next step is I click add computer button, right? So driver.find element, and here I'm gonna there is an ID for that element. So let's talk about this a bit more. So how did I get that ID? So of course I tried this website before this session, but also in the previous session I introduced this crow path, which helps you to identify some elements, selectors, right? We call it locators in the world of automation. So if you just want to locate this particular element, you locate it by its ID or by how this element is going to render on this web page. So as you can see, when this website loads, somehow this website already know which element will be placed at what location, right? And that's what we want to figure it out, so that we can also click on it. We can also do some stuff as a normal user would do. So the one thing of doing that is Selenium provides you with some handy methods. So, and this allows, for example, this by method is provided by Selenium. You can search by ID, by CSS, by XPath. And in this case, since it's already only requiring the ID, you can just say ID. But there will be more elements which requires the XPath and all. So let's talk to them there. So here, what I'm going to do, I'm just clicking on this, right? So, and then this step where what it's saying me that I feel valid computer details. So let's do it manually once to see what elements I get. So as I click on it, I'm on this page and I get computer name, introduced date, discontinued, and company. So something similar what we have here, but this time I will have different IDs, right? Yes, yeah. So in this page, the ID is name for this particular element. As you can see, how I open this window, what it is, you click right click or on the browser and just go to inspect. Then you get the elements, and from those elements there is this small button. You click this to inspect it, and on the right side, when you install this crow path extension, you get more selectors. So you can either use this as well. You can say I want to use by XPath, and you can copy this path and paste it here, but it's more unreadable for a user, right? The most readable I think is by ID, because ID. So the priority when I automate some website is first I try to look for ID, then I try to look for XPath, and then nothing else, then CSS or some link text and something like that. So these all methods are here. So ID, CSS selector, link text, XPath, class names, class. So the preference should be ID, then XPath, then CSS selector, because of their performance as well. That's different concept how they work, but this is the preference, and then the CSS, and then if nothing else works, then JavaScript, but that's some advanced concept in Selenium. So first, let's try to automate this scenario. So I find name, and then I find, so in this name, I want to send some inputs, right? Since it's an input element. So the input is, let's call it a test or cool computer, right? This is my computer. And then I just copy pasted the step, and I'm inspecting the next step, which is introduced. And here, same, it's also the ID. If you see, I go back and put introduced, and here if you see the dates, is asking for why this format is acceptable, you know, YYY-mm-dd. So going back, you can put any year. I will just start with this, and then the next step is discontinued date, which is this field. Going back to the code, and discontinued can be like a later date, right? And these are the valid details, right? And the next is I want to select this item from here. So in Selenium, there are a couple more steps you need to do. So first is this select class. So let me write it first so I can explain it much better. So how it looks like. So we are going to break this. Let's do it like this. So what I'm doing is I'm instantiating, or I'm creating a select object out of my element. So what this driver.find element does, it will search for your element first by your ID. So here you also have to change the ID. So the inside method in the select box will search for the element with company, and it returns. So if you click here, you will see that this returns a web element, and web element is something which is very generic, and now we have to tell Selenium that it's a select element, so that this select method is also provided by Selenium. So you can actually tell Selenium that it's a select method, and then you can use its own method. So some of these methods are like select by visible text. So let's try to select a company name, but not from the top, but let's start with this Samsung Electronics, which is in the bottom of this page, just to see if this works. So Samsung Electronics is my company name, with that's selected, right? And these are the valid credentials. And then after I add, I want to click this button. So to click this button, as you can see, this one do not have an ID. So what we are going to do is, since it's a primary button on this page, and on any web page, there will be only, that standard is like there will only be a one primary button. Primary means it will be of different color, so the user can easily choose the default. It's a default kind of thing on this page. So you can be sure that this XPath will be there. So I'm going to use that driver.find element by .xpath this time, and the XPath I pasted, and then click. Right. So what does happen when we actually do? Let's see. I'm not filling this anything. I'm just clicking because there is no validation. Okay, so I go back to this page and I see this alert message, right? So let's grab this alert message to see what it's writing. So this is the message. Yes, and here is the content, right? So let's verify if I get my computer name and this alert message. So my test will be, so here there should be some assertions, right? So what I'm going to do, that I have to verify that computer is added. So more proper way is to search for that computer, but there is also one way you can easily, for this scenario, we will only just verify that you see the computer name in this text. So let's do that. So first thing, driver.find element, how to find it by XPath, because again, this element do not have an ID. So you can safely use the XPaths, and I go back, right? And this returns me a web element. So and for that web element, I want to get the text out of it, right? So, and I'll save it in alert message, right? I can call it like this. So what it is doing, I'm searching for this element. Let's expand this window a bit. So I'm searching for that element, and I'm saving the element's text in this message. And then I am going to assert it. So which assertion library we are going to use? We are going to use from JUnit. So assert true. And here the arguments, if you look, the first is, no, let's use the from, so assert from, yeah, JUnit. Assert true, yeah. So this one. So here, first is the message, and the second is the Boolean condition, or you can also use simply the condition. So let's try with this. So it's more descriptive to the end user. So first is the message, and the second is the condition. So the message is that alert should be displayed with computer name, and here we will just say that string dot equals, right, because we know the computer name here, the cool. So I'm just going to copy this text. Oh no, let's copy it here like this, right? And here I'm going to say that let's also use some trimming here. Yeah, just to trim the right white spaces, you know, from this sentence, from this text. So here I'm just going to, for now, say cool, because my computer name is cool computer, and just verifying it. So we return the test. This is our test, but in the end, we also have to clean the drivers browser. That is, we also have to close the browser. So my close, this is the hooks from Cucumber. So where I'm going to tear down my browser setup. That is, I'm just going to call driver.quit, and that will close the window. So let's run it to make sure that I am not missing anything. So I'm going to run it via test runner, and since in my feature file I provided the Chrome driver, it should open the website, fill the details, and it failed. Maybe the message is wrong. No such element exception. Okay, so we provided a wrong locator here. Okay, let's see for the locator again. Okay, looks like fine. Div alert message warning. Okay, let's see the exception again. Unable to locate element on this. Yeah. Okay, so there is some other thing going on. So that's why we need page object. So let's, I'm not going to dig for this now, but let me explain what might be happening. So what's happening is we provided the correct locator, you know. So since our website is driving, going from one page to other page and going back to that page, it is, so our UI is re-rendering, right? And that can explain this situation that it took some time for this element to load, and that's why it could not figure it out what the element is. So let's for now, but at least it fill all my details. So I'm going to first start with the page object. So here what we are going to do is we will define one more package. So far we return some basic steps, you know, so the glue code, and the concept of page object is to uh, how we will make sure that when I go back from one page to the other page or come back again, I do not there is some sync in between, you know. I should be generic sync. I should not write some not necessary waits, or wait means waiting times or thread sleeping or something like that, irrelevant code. Let Selenium identify that you are on correct page first, and then do the logic behind it. So what we are going to do, we are going to write a package that we call, let's say, pages. And in this pages, we will define first my landing page. This is a Java class. So what this class will tell, that it will we will put all of our, you know, whatever you see in this page. Let's refresh this page. So you have this screen. So in this screen, as you can see that this page is unique in its way, right? You have the filter, you have some add computer button, you have a list, you have a title, and the name of these computers like this. So this page is itself an entity, and that's why we have written a separate class. So wherever you feel like that's an entity, you write a page object out of it. So why we are calling it a page object? Is it a framework or is it something else? No, it's some pattern. It's a pattern which you follow, or it's a model that's a standard that you follow so that you can easily trace back. Let's say tomorrow some developer changes the ID of this button. How will you find it easily? If I write it like this in every step definition or every glue code, like this code, it's very hard to locate it and to fix it everywhere, right? And that's why you need one single point where you can change it easily, and then you can use it across your tests. And that's the concept of page object. So you will spend less time in maintaining it and more time in actually testing it. So testing your application, of course. So first thing first, any Java class, let's find some unique elements, right, in this page object. This Java class is more telling me that it's related to this page. So I will just, for our test, all the elements which are required, I will just put them for now. So let's go back. So the first element which I want is the add button, this one. So please note, I am just copying by.id and nothing else. Okay, we have some chats. Yeah, okay. Yeah, as I said that the weight we want to avoid, and I'm going to show how. I don't want to put some weights, and that's the main reason the page object is in place. So let's go back. I'm using a landing page, and I just copy pasted my locator, right? And in this, I'm just going to say element, which is the add button. So there is some syntax you can follow. You can discuss with your developers how they follow the syntax to easily identify it. So I'm just following button, as in a button, btn, and then add button. Then the next is what the alert message, right, on the left. So let's go here, the last part. That's what for our test is required at the moment. So I come back. So here the text, it's a text. I'm just calling it a text alert message. And here I'm just going to call it by dot, just copy paste it. Yes. So these two elements are required for my test at this moment, but you can add, depending how your test grows, more elements. And what other functionality this page has to offer you. So in this page, for now, for my test, it offers me clicking on this add button. So that particular business logic you define as a method, as a Java method. So let's take a look how it will look like in the end. So I'm just going to say that add click, so press or click, click add button, or click add computer button, and in this we will say what I have to do, right? Before that, we will define a constructor for this class. So, and you have to understand this. So we defined that this is a page, but if you recollect something from PowerPoint, you have a master slide, right? And you define one slides in it. In similar way, we will standardize some items that every page has to follow. So for that purpose, in Java, there is a strong concept of abstract classes. So we will create an abstract classes. So let's call it abstract page. And what this class will do, we will talk, of course, because it's a pretty important concept. It created a normal class, but we will change it to an abstract class. So what is this? Why it's required? So every page, whatever we are going to develop now, it has to have, every page has to have a unique element on that. So that, or how I choose that element is the element which will load in the end, at the end when that page finished loading, near to the end. I would like to say that, phrase that. So why is that? Because your page takes some time. If there are some asynchronous requests going on, let's say it's a Flipkart website and you see some items there, how would you ensure that those items are loaded, right, before clicking them? That's what happening in our test. The alert message may have appeared late and my test failed because it could not find it, because by default on that page that alert message is not there. So for that, we are going to define some standards. So the first thing first, we need some WebDriver here, to find that element. I'm just going to call it WebDriver, and then I'm going to call the WebDriver weight. So let's initialize them to null, and then I'm going to have a constructor. So what is a constructor? The constructor is something which is going to be called when this class gets called. It's something like that. So it's the first entry point in this class. So this is the constructor. Let's make these items protected, right? Protected, these locators in Java, it means there are couple more types. As you can see, here is the public, there is protected, and there is private. So protected is only this class can change it in simple way. Private is so only this class can change these elements. Private is also the similar, but in protected you can also instantiate this class and try to change these items like that. But in private, you cannot assign values to the items which are private. But public, you can do the same as protected. You can create an instance and you can define those items. So here, what this class will receive, it will receive a WebDriver from its child classes, right? And in this page, by coming back to it, I'm going to extend the abstract page. So yeah, so it's complaining a bit, but we will fix it. Let me fix it first. Sorry, not this way, but by adding a constructor, public landing page. And here I will receive a WebDriver, right? And I'm going to use super. So what is super? It sounds interesting, So now the error is gone. So let's understand it a bit. What is going on? So it's going so fast, right? So what I'm telling this class that you have to pass a driver, which you have, and that driver will also be present here. So what I'm doing here, that I'm passing this WebDriver instance to the super. Super means to this class, to whichever class it extends. So this is the parent, this is the child. So this child knows some properties of the parent. That's the concept of extension and the super here. So you can imagine child should have some attributes from the parent, right? How child look like and something like that in a normal general way. That's the same concept in Java. So you are telling that the driver which I'm passing in this landing page has to be an entity in abstract page, and also the elements, some elements. So let's also define this driver. So this driver equals driver. So this logic, what you see here, it's coming from the child. This driver is coming from the child, which is the landing page from here. And then I'm assigning the driver, which I instantiated here, to this dot driver. So the left side you see is something, the local variable, and the right side you see is something coming from the child. So it's a bit, I understand it's a bit advanced, but it's a bit more maintainable in terms of page object concepts. So it's same as, the master slide and the child slide in the PowerPoint presentations. So you have a master slide which has some left and right attributes, and then the child, you use those attributes and define your own text, right, or something like that, pictures. So in this case, it's a driver first, and the next is protected by right, and here, sorry, let's import it and call it get unique element. We are going to come back to this and let's make it abstract. So I will come to this later, because without example it's hard to explain this. So first let me write some code so you will understand what I'm doing. So this is a void method where I'm only checking if it's loaded, and what I'm doing here is I'm asserting, let's also instantiate this wait first, new WebDriver wait and driver, and then the 30. So it's a timeout in 30 seconds, and what I'm telling here is what I want to do here is whenever a page loads, wait till 30 seconds before timing out, you know. And what is this wait? This wait is telling that you if you do not find any element, and I'm going to use it here. So here I'm going to use that wait some way, and that then I'm going to tell that you know, that particular element is loaded or not, and that way we will avoid the writing waits everywhere on every page when it navigates back and forth. So here I have to check that particular element is loaded. So let's not go with that, but let's do it web element. My element is coming from driver dot find element, and here I need to pass the by. So this will return me something, right? So get unique element, and here I'm going to assert it, and also wait dot until. So expected conditions dot visibility of element located, and here it's asking me for unique element, right? So I'm going to pass it here. So I will explain it, just hold on for a minute. So also I'm going to assert true, that particular element is loaded or not, right? So I'm going to say that element is displayed, right? Or let's try it this way. I'm going to, let's say you have multiple elements, you know. So I'm just going to say it as a list, and I'm going to change it to S. So find elements, but here it's a list now. So let's say somehow you manage to get 2 elements or on this page, but it's fine for us, you know, that if it is unique, it's confusing, but let it be like that, so that we can easily assert on the size. So the number of elements actually. So assert dot assert true, that what I'm trying to do here is checking that particular element is loaded, right? So wait for element to be loaded, and here I'm just checking that element dot size is greater than 0. So this is one way, it's easy way, because I don't want to do a displayed. I can do it as well, that's also fine, but this will just tell me the size. Even if this fails, it will still wait for it, you know. That's why I wanted to do. So it even if this assertion fails, it will wait, but somehow I have to make sure that the errors won't come outside of this method and it impacts somewhere else, you know, in the reporting. So I'm just handling those errors in this. So those errors, some errors will be silent. So this is my abstract class. This is my master template, and every child object, if you take a look at this, what it tells me, that whatever child is going to extend this particular master class, it needs a unique element first, and then it needs to check if it is loaded. So here I just have to call isLoaded method, so that whenever this constructor gets called, my driver gets initialized, then my wait gets initialized. So this wait method, what you see here, and I'm waiting that. So what are these actually? So the expected conditions and visibility of element located. So what is this this is something which is provided by Selenium again, and there are many things, there are many conditions which can happen. For example, you can imagine that particular element takes some time to load when you click on the select, for example, in the drop down or something. So you can use these methods out of the box. You don't have to write hard coded waits. And these wait, it is not a hard coded wait, it looks like it, but it is polling the element. So what is polling? It is trying to check on the web page every 500 milliseconds that for 30 seconds. So after every 500 it will check again and again and again. So that's what it is doing here. So that's the logic behind it. So you don't have to write that logic for your own, but you can use these methods to simply figure it out, that whether that element is visible, and then go ahead with your tests or whatever the assertion you are doing. So far that's the logic behind it. But if I go back to my child page, that is the landing page, you can see it's saying that I also need to implement the abstract method. As I said, this child also need to tell its master or its parent that what is the element which is unique on this page. And how it happens, you need to use override, right? That's the syntax in Java. It's a Java logic, whatever we are doing so far. This has nothing to do with Selenium, or it's just the methods inside which we are using, the driver and all. That is Selenium, but this is standard Java. So here, what we will do is, let's go back here, and here you can click implement methods. So it will give you the suggestion what it's trying to do. So here I will just return my button, which is also a by element, and it is unique for this page, right? That's it. That's the whole logic behind the waiting and everything. So I don't have, in this class, I'm just worried about my elements and also the functionality. So I don't have to write explicit logic for writing the wait, writing everything, sync the page and something like that. You can do that in master class or the abstract class, which we have written here. So now there are no errors as of yet. So let's quickly put all our methods which we defined in the definitions. So we will just have them. So like this here, going back. So what we are doing, so I'm clicking the add computer button, right, on this page, and I'm returning a new page, right? So let's create one more page, which can be a duplicate for now of this, and we will change it later. So computer detail page or computer data page, or yeah, for now details page. So I added that here, but if you see, everything is copied, most of the stuff, but this is not the unique element. We will remove this, and we will remove, for now, let's call it null, so that it is more understandable what we did there. So we just copy pasted it, because when I click this button, I need a computer detail page, right? That's what's happening. So when I click here, add button, I go to the add computer page. So I go back in this page, and that's what I need to write here, the logic now. So here the logic will be how we implemented in the step definitions. So that is this. And as you can see, now I don't have to use this. I can just simply use button add here. And in future, if some developer change the ID or the attribute or anything which is unique for this button, then you can simply go to this class, look out for that button, and change it in this place. So this is unique, and now all of the methods can point to this and use it and you don't have to worry about this code, whichever the business logic you have written. That's the beauty of page object pattern. So anyone can understand it, any developer can understand it. He can go to this class and change it. Quickly looking at the time, it already passed the timing, but I'm trying to explain more in detail. Let's do it in a nice way. So click add computer button. I added, but in this I want to return a computer detail page, right? So here, what is happening is I need to return a computer detail page, and also I need to pass the driver. What just happened? So what I did is I clicked the button, but at the same time, I'm telling Selenium that now whatever functionality you will do, whatever driver is going to do, it has to do on this class, because now this class is in picture. So the class has to have a unique element, right? So the unique element will be the computer, let's say the create this computer button. So that is again, you can copy from here or also from here. So on this page, you can see this one, right? y.xpath. So this is the computer detail page, and submit button. Let's call that in the more syntactical manner, button submit equals this is my unique element, right? And in this method, I just have to use this. So every child has to have a get unique element method implemented. And here also it needs to have the override. I'm not sure why it did not complain, but like we did here. So this override is was required to override whatever this particular abstract method here is going to do. So this method was is not implemented, right? So I'm implementing it in the child classes to do something. So that method will send will know. So whenever this is called, is loaded, it will call this, here in this method, and that will call that particular child like that. So once we have this, so now I'm on this page, and now I need to fill the details, right? So the filling the details, public void fill computer details, and that is going to be this. But at the same time, I don't want them here, so that I can later check out one place. Computer name is by.id, by introduced date will be by introduced, and y.discontinued is let's say discontinued date, and here the company select. So by select company name equals my by.id, and now I can use these here, same. So what I'm doing just a copy paste and the migration of our complicated scripts. So here I'm here, and then I'm selecting. So that's it. So here I'm just filling the details, and then the next step is public void submit computer detail. But it should not be void. If you took a note, it should return me a page, right? Because then it is navigating to a new page, and that page is our landing page. And here I have to click this button, here, and this is the submit button which I have to click. So I can just safely place it, and then I have to return the page to tell Selenium that you are on that class now and the same driver. So there are a couple of concepts what I'm doing. You know, whatever driver I'm starting from one place it is, I'm passing it to all the places, all the pages. So Selenium do not get confused, right, which driver you are talking about, because every page should use the same session in a web browser. So that's it. Let's go back in our steps, and now we can simply, let's here I'm going to call all my pages or page objects, instantiate them. So one is landing page, I can say like this, and computer detail page, and I'm just going to initialize them to null. And then I'm going to say this here. Yes. This navigate to logic, you can also put this in the class, so you can say like landing page dot get, something like that. For now, let's leave it, but it's good to have. So here, what I'm going to do, so I'm just going to initialize this. So that is new landing page. And here I'm going to pass this driver. So take a note at this point. So where did my driver gets initialized? It initialized in this glue code, right? So this glue code, when I wrote the first in my basic steps, I started my driver, and then I passed that driver to the landing page. So the landing page knows here, you see here, that which driver I'm talking about, and then I pass this to its parent. So it's going like inbox, something like that. So I go back, and then what I want to do is, and now this is initialized, right? So here I'm going to click add computer button. So this is more readable. I'll come back to that. So, and here I'm returning a page. So I have to save it somewhere. And then I'm going to call this fill computer details, right? And in this, I'm going to call submit computer detail, right? And this is going to be my new landing page. And I don't have to do anything here with the coding. So then here, yes, and now on the landing page, I need a method to assert it. So here, so public then void check alert message. For now, I am not passing any message, but I can just send it. So I'll just cut it and paste here. So, and this is my alert message, and I can just use it here, right? Let's remove the tree just to see what happens. And here is my assertion now, just quickly checking, yes. And if you are taking a note, I can use this class and check alert message, that's it. So let's first look at the code. This is whole scenario, right? My scenario started from the feature, and in this feature I defined some step, and when I go into the step, okay, I'm taking a look what I'm doing. I'm just initializing a driver, and then I'm just sending that driver into the different pages, and that page knows about their own elements. So in future, if something change, you don't have to look in every step definition file or anywhere else. You can directly go into page, take a look here. So the convention is you define your elements at the top so that you easily find them. You don't, because this is going to grow, so whatever is you are writing here, this is going to grow. This is the business logic, and that's why you define it at one place and use the elements everywhere. And now if you see, let's try run it just to see how it looks like, if this works. Okay, and it navigated and it failed for some reason. Okay. Add computer button. Okay, just a second here. What I'm doing, I'm having elements. $25 lines. So get unique element did not return it because so I send this to the get unique element. Okay, something I'm missing. Bar.id add on this page. Yes, that is correct. Okay, step page is loaded. I'll just compare it quickly because I tried it yesterday just to see. I think I have done everything fine. Okay. Yeah, of course. So since the page initializes, it could not find it first at the first instance, and that's the reason I need to add this here as well. Let's see if this works. And also double check the rest of the classes. So if you see here, I added the pages, the landing page is same, and yes, I'm passing it correctly. So the abstract page knows about it, and this should work. All right. Yeah, I think it's the this should fix it. Let's try. Yes. Okay, something failed again. And why it could not find it again. Element by expert. Okay, so something, of course, with the locator. Here, alert message warning. And this is my locator. Yeah, looks fine. Text button, driver.find element. Okay, let's check it quickly. Yes. Yeah, it should work. Yes, here and added, but I will figure out what's going on later. For now, I guess, yeah, no such element. So let's try the hardware just to verify. Okay, dot sleep 200 or 2000 milliseconds just to see. Okay, and again. So it did clicked on something else. So I think I clicked when I again on the add button page somewhere. So let's see. I go here in my step. Aha, okay. I open computer database, I click add computer. That's why. Okay. Some mistake in my steps. I feel computer. Oh, yes. I click yeah, this should be the submit computer button and not the add computer button. So I misnamed it. So yes, here I should click submit. Let's say that's why I made a mistake, and I'll just rename it here. And here I'm going to say, so let's quickly see. Yes, so I click add computer button, but I do not have, I click submit computer button here. Yes, so I will just copy it. So since I use the same name for two steps, that caused the problem. And hopefully this should be fine now. I go here, and then here I need to click on the submit logic. So this thing should go here. Yeah, so let's just quickly verify by running it. Yes, it's waited for 4 seconds and it passed. Yay, cool. Okay, so I can safely remove my hard-coded sleep, and which I return here. It's not needed. It's for debugging purposes. And yeah, sometimes it happens in demos. Okay, yeah, that is it. And you can see here, I can, let's try quickly with Firefox, because why not? So I start. And now it started the Firefox browser. As you can see, I did not have to do anything in terms of setup. I just have to change the browser. And that's the magic of this piece of code, which we have written in the top, this one. Yes, that's it. And I'm going to stop the recording.